Welcome back to another session of HRM. Previously, in our classes, in offline classes, we had gone through various aspects of human resources planning. We talked about what is human resources planning, that is HRP. We spoke about what is its need and what is the importance of HRP in the organization. We spoke about various factors affecting the human resources planning and the process of the planning. In this session, we will look into the barriers that HR planning might be facing. It is something like organizations might have problems in planning for their human resources in an advanced way. So there might be issues that might come up so that organizations might not be going for a formal HR planning. Uh, there are what do you say? There are various reasons which we may see, which we may come across. That might be from the point of view of some factors. Things like some companies may not consider HRP important at all. So those companies who are facing, who consider HRP as is not at all important, they might not be worried about going for HRP at all. So that's uh, basic at the base level itself. But even though there are companies, large number of professionally managed, highly growth oriented, sustainable, highly competitive, or top image companies, they might be uh, worried about having a plan and working based on that plan so that they achieve the targets. So those companies may think of having a human resources plan as well. But still, even those companies may face or may come across issues in going for a manpower planning process. Now, what these issues, even if the companies might think of that HRP is important and they need to have an HR plan, so what might be obstacles that they might be facing? We'll look into those obstacles in this video. The first obstacle, what uh, we may come across, that's the barrier one, is that the managers in the organization might feel that the overall planning process might be time consuming. You may not have sufficient time to carry out the planning process. It might be effort based, so a lot of effort has to be put. So managers or the executives might feel that why don't we put that effort in some other uh, activity, in some other areas, and since time and efforts are being diverted for HRP, then some cost issues also might arise. So even if HRP is good, so they may think that they may have some cost issues. They might lose some time which should have been used in some other area, right? So it is one thing which abstracts, which stops managers to go for human resources planning, is like they may think that it is time consuming, it is laborious, it is a costly process. So companies, if they feel that they're really important and they cannot do it because of this barrier, they may think of going for using the services of experts. But still, that is a kind of barrier. Sometimes companies which are not able to buy the services of experts may not be, even if they feel that it is a good one, they may not be going for such activity. Then the second barrier, uh, what an organization might face, is that why we need to have a plan. Whenever we require, uh, whenever we come across a vacancy, we can simply advertise it and get the person filled up that vacancy. Why? Because there are a lot of people out there who are looking for jobs. So there is surplus manpower out there. So we don't need to worry. We don't need to plan for that. So, but that might be, if you do not have a proper plan, there might be chances that you have a wrong person coming or landing into a job, right? So a wrong person landing into a job may have, again, performance issues. So that might be what you say, that performance issue might expand to, in case if the jobs are dependent jobs, then that that might have an expansion issue, because the problem at one point might affect the whole part. So that might be an issue. But managers might see that, okay, don't need to no need to think of and all that aspect. It is simple enough that we can look out for people. There are a lot of people who are employed. We can, anytime we would like, we can get these people. So that is one thing that might be stopping managers to go for planning their HR, human resources. The other barrier we come across, that's the third one, is that uh, the whole aspect of predicting. The plans include predictions. So whole aspect of predicting uh, might not be a good thing, or you can say prediction itself may not happen in an accurate manner. So it is not an easy task. Having an accurate prediction is not an easy task. So they must find overall this aspect of forecasting, how many vacancies we may come across, how many people we may need to look for in the future. We don't know. So it is not easy to predict also, uh, because considering the changes happening in the external environment, right? Considering the changes happening within the organization, it may not be an easy task to predict exactly or accurately how much people we may face deficit in the future. So, since we are not sure about the things, then why we need to plan? So that might be another aspect managers might think of. So that might stop them to go for a planning aspect. So it's not an easy thing. So let us not go for that one. Then another fourth barrier what we might face was that of the kind of traditional viewpoint that we may carry, saying that business is going on, no need to worry, we don't need to have a professional attitude towards managing things, we don't need to look into the long term planning part. From the point of view of people specific, let us focus on profits, not worry about the people. So that whole idea, whole that kind of mentality might make organization to not invest time and effort on the planning process, right? So traditionally managed people or companies, from that point of view, may not be interested in having a long-term plan. So they might be thinking like, let us, things are going on, let them go on, no need to worry about the people aspect, focus on profits. So that issue might come across. Then the fifth barrier that organizations might face, or the HR managers might come across, is that the environment is ever changing. Things are changing very fast. You don't know what might happen within a year itself. Forget about having a long-term plan for 2 years or 3 years. Within a year itself, within 6 months itself, things might change from one end to another end. So it's not easy to understand how things are moving. Considering the macro, if you look into the macro environment, it becomes more difficult, more complex to have an analysis or have an understanding of how the environment is changing. So the whole point of the changing business environment makes it a daunting task for the managers saying that okay, yeah, it's very complex, why we need to focus much, why we need to put money on that, let us not go ahead with that one, let us focus on how people are doing. As far as possible, let us try to make people get stabilized, don't worry about the changes in the environment, let the people keep on doing their work, and somehow unemployment is there, so we can easily recruit people, so we don't need to worry about having such kind of advanced tools in our organization. So these lot of changes, these kind of lot of changes in terms of political, in terms of economic, technological factors might have an effect on employment situation in the country. So they might not be worried about these issues, making thinking that it's very changing. It's dynamic. It's very dynamic, very fluent in nature. So turbulent in nature. So it's complex. So we have to uh, make sure things, no need to look into this aspect as an important aspect. Let us focus on some other areas. Then the other barrier that organizations might face was that of a shortage of skilled manpower. So actually, manpower planning is more important for industries where there is shortage of skilled manpower, because no, and as long as there is oversupply, uh, organizations might feel that we don't need to worry, people are already available there, whenever vacancies are whenever vacancies arise, let us just give a notification and people will apply for this because they want jobs. In case of what you say, shortage of manpower, then company will have an issue because job remains vacant for a long time, and if the job remains vacant, so there might be chances that companies might not be getting a full-fledged performance output. It might affect their bottom line in terms of sales, so in terms of revenues. So it becomes very important. Manpower planning becomes very relevant in terms in case of shortage of skilled manpower. So we don't need to worry as long as we have surplus manpower. So let us look into consideration of manpower planning only when we find a manpower shortage. So they may avoid it to waiting till the till the point we may not find the people out there. Then seventh barrier we may face, or an HR managers might face, is uh, you can say involvement issue from the point of view of departmental managers or the other managers, where they may see that in future vacancies might arise. So non-involvement of departmental managers might hamper the whole HR process, right? So it makes totally ineffective. So if people are not involving, HRP has a problem there. The effect of HRP might not be seen in a company-wide in the overall span of the company. So but usually it happens that other managers, or other departmental managers might not be willing to come join with other, because we have a traditional functional kind of distinctions. So we may see the other department manager as a kind of distant person. We don't need to mingle with them. So if that kind of functional distinctions are there, so there might be problems of coordination. So that problems of coordination might have an effect on the way you plan for your business. So HR plan is part of an overall business plan. So it cannot be taken very lightly. So these barriers, these kind of things might have an effect. Then the eighth barrier, what we may see, is that HR managers might not have a proper or an overall understanding of how business operations happen, and they consider HRP is more of a mathematical process rather than a simple kind of saying that judgmental or a kind of ad hoc assessments. Yes, obviously it is true that we need to have a proper quantitative analysis in terms of planning. It might be a HR plan or it might be any other plan. There need to be a proper quantitative assessment needs to be done for any kind of planning process. But it also is that there should be a mixture of qualitative as well as quantitative approaches that needs to be brought into the plan process. Now HRP is also no different from that point of view. So HRP also requires that you need to have a both qualitative and quantitative approaches. It's not only a mathematical approach. So those who are not good at mathematical aspects, those who are not good at decision making, those who are not good at forecasting methods, they might find it very it's not their cup of tea. So it is not no, let us not do it, or let us refrain from doing those things. So HRP might not be taken up in a full-fledged way because of such kind of views. Then finally, the last approach what we may come across, last barrier that we may come across is that the whole issue of what do you say, HRP means that you need to have good, proper personal in human resources information systems. So a setup of IT or you can say technological backup information system backed by advanced technology. So that if that is there, there might be effective manpower planning. So then having such kind of what do you say, technology backed information system, latest advanced sophisticated technology backed information systems requires that you need to have a good design for those things, right? You need to create these computerized personal information systems in a proper way. So all that might be seen as a kind of a big mountain for the HR managers who may not be considering, who might feel that these are not their domain areas. It is basically IT people who should be doing all these things. So we are not from into that aspect. So let us not worry about having proper information or having a manpower planning at all. So there are these complications of that such kind of thought that needs to be resolved, so that issues of designing, definition, and the creation of a technology backed performance personal information systems, so that the organization can have an effective manpower planning, right? uh, no, even the no, what even the current situation is that the existing technologies might not be, even if there is technologies which are there, they might not be optimally utilized by the managers because they are not aware of that such technology can support their planning systems. So high-end planning system, high-end information systems, high-end technological backups may help you mix your quantitative and qualitative approaches for planning. So even if you are not so good at it, so these systems will help you, but they may not be finding it that it is there, so they may underutilize such technologies. So first aspect is that there might be complications. So HR managers might think that okay, no need to do, no, let us not fully focus on planning. Let us have some plan. That's it, enough. Not let us not focus or make it more accurate or take these things as very serious for the betterment of the organization. So they may not focus on that area, even if even if technologies are there. No, there might be chances of underutilization. So the overall planning process might not go as effective as required for the overall organizational plan. Now, these are the basic barriers that organizations might face for having an effective, highly contributing human resources plan, contributing to not only to the overall organizational plan, also to the bottom line in terms of HR aspects, or even a good HR plan might contribute to the sustainable competitive advantage of an organization. right? Now, as this aspect of information system point has arisen in the last part, uh, why these information systems are required, why they are important, and what kind of information they provide so that manpower planning can become more effective. So that aspect we will look in the next video, next session, right? So this is it with the current topic of barriers. We had seen around 9 barriers that will covering various aspects of the organization, right? So till the next topic, till then, bye bye, see you.